Hello. Thank you so much for all coming on this beautiful day, this beautiful Sunday. I have my days a little confused today. I keep thinking it's Saturday, but... So yes, I'm Eve Kerwin, and I live in Stamford, Connecticut. And I am a shamanic healer and a channeler. So my first question I would like to ask to all of you is, do you know exactly what that means? Are you familiar with she can't. Are we? She can't. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. My question is, are all of you familiar with shamanism or channeling? Do you understand what this is? Shamanism is the oldest form. It's very tribal, the oldest form of healing. It's been around the longest, I think, of all types of healing. And all the tribes since the beginning of time practiced within their tribe the understanding of shamanism. And what shamanism really is it's a deep, deep form of healing. And it not only works on the physical level, but it's, of course, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And, of course, all healings work in this way. But shamanistic healing is very, very deep. Very, very deep. And the type that is moving through me, it's more connected to the Native American connection, because White Buffalo Woman, who's my main and primary guide, of course, appeared to the Lakota Sioux people. This is an absolute true story. It's not a myth. White Buffalo Woman literally came from heaven and came down, touched earth, and worked with the Lakota Sioux people on the plains, and went back up to heaven in the form of a white buffalo. And this is all documented and absolutely true. White Buffalo Woman is the same soul as Mary, the mother of Jesus. She's the same soul as Isis, the Egyptian goddess. She's the same soul as Kuan Yin, who was Buddha's mother, and Buddha was Jesus Christ. Same soul. She was the same soul as Eve, Adam and Eve. One in the same spirit, one in the same soul, the same entity. And when these wonderful beings connect with Earth, they connect in a way at certain periods of time when they're really needed here on Earth to work with us. I mean, many people, I'm sure you're familiar with Ascended Masters, the understanding of Ascended Masters, and all of this type of understanding. But they are carrying the same vibration. This is the same entity, the same spirit and soul. And so it's constantly a reincarnational process. Of course, the body dies, but the soul will never die, and it comes back in another form to do further work here on Earth. And this is how it works. And many of these beings can connect with us through different ways. Some people have a hard time understanding this or accepting it, and other people absolutely understand, accept it. The archangels, for example, all the archangels work with us in so many various ways as well. So I am very, very fortunate, and I have much gratitude that White Buffalo Woman connected with and through me. Now, this was something that I never was looking for. I never was looking for this. I never requested it. I never prayed for this desire. This was the furthest from my wildest dreams, you can say, that this would happen to me, what I'm doing today with my life. And my story is very unique and kind of unusual what happened, but if you'd like to hear it, I'd like to share exactly how my journey began. It really began as a young girl. I went to Catholic school. I was taught by the nuns. It was very strict upbringing, but I'm thankful for that upbringing, because that upbringing truly programmed me to do what I'm doing today. It really was the basis of my fortitude, the basis of my I was extremely conscientious as a child. I was extremely shy as a little girl. But I had the basis of There was something in me always, this push to move forward and grasp and grasp and grasp. And so I do attribute that to the teachings that the nuns, shared with us in that time, and really what I was learning about God, the universe, and all these beautiful exalted beings. So as time passed, and I began to grow, older and older, things were starting to occur for me in very unusual ways. I was having paranormal experiences. Now, I didn't understand them. I had no way of understanding them. Who did I really talk to about this? I would, the next day go back to the nuns in school and share this with them, and they didn't have a clue, what I was talking about, or how to reply to me, or what to say back to me. They just, I don't know what they thought about me, so I learned to keep my mouth shut. I learned to keep everything within and just not, it was like whatever was happening, but I didn't understand it. But the main thing was I was never afraid of it. I was not fearful, which was the plus on my side. So I just kept going with it. And then what happened, when I was 16, I was in high school at the time, I was one of 3 girls. I was the middle girl, born to my mom and dad, my sister. I have a sister 2 years older than me, then I was the middle girl born, and then I had a younger sister who was 4 years younger than me. And she, when I was 16, had a sudden death. Very, very traumatic to our family, extremely traumatic. She passed away on my mom and dad's 20th wedding anniversary. That was traumatic right there, And we just couldn't believe what happened. And so this really was the beginning of my awakening, of me, Eve, the girl at the time, the woman today. This was the basis, really, I feel, the punch of what was to come forward for me. Because what happened was, she passed away, it was a Friday afternoon, and that evening, you could just imagine, our house was just full of people. I mean, neighbors, relatives, everyone just came into our home, to support us and whatever. And there was just so much commotion going on in the house that after a period of time, I excused myself, and it was very, overwhelming for me, and I just wanted to be quiet. And I went up to my bedroom. But before I went into my bedroom, I went into my mom and dad's bedroom, and my mother and father always had quite a large statue of the Blessed Mother, Mary, our Divine Mother, in their bedroom. And I really bent down on my knees, and I prayed to the Blessed Mother, and I was crying hysterically. And I said to her, I don't understand this. Why did this have to happen? I was praying, and I was sobbing, and, So, all right, so now I move into my bedroom, and again, all the commotion is occurring below me. And so I never put a light on in my bedroom. I left the lights off in my room. It was dark. I just slipped off my clothes, put on a nightgown, and pulled down the comforter of my bed, went into bed, and within a couple of minutes maybe, if that, even that, my body froze. I was traumatized. I felt on the other side, now don't forget the light wasn't on, it was dark. The other side, it was a double bed. I was to the left, the other side was empty, of course, and all of a sudden, the comforter goes down from the other side, from the side of the bed that I was not on. And I felt a physical body get into bed with me. And I froze. I literally froze, and I became fearful. And I said, oh my goodness, I don't have the lights on. Was someone hiding in my room, and now they're in this bed with me? I mean, you could imagine what I was thinking, but I was so fearful that I didn't know what to do. I was frozen. And it took me quite a while to inch my hand under the covers. Quite a while, little by little, and I realized there was no body there. There was no physical body. There was nothing there. But I can feel that there was a body lying next to me. And it was my sister who had passed that afternoon. She came to tell me that she was safe and that she reached the other side. Now that was, what can I say? That was the real beginning of my true understanding, I'll say, of everything. I just didn't know what to make of this. And so I did write a book, and I call it The Awakening, because that is the only way I can say that was my biggest awakening. And so that's how it all began for me. And so now I started to question more and more as I began to become older and older, and I was really listening to what the nuns and everyone was talking about death when we die and so forth, and I was really trying to zero into everything and really absorb everything. And so this really gave me a deep food for thought for myself. I didn't really go around talking about what happened to me, but my paranormal experiences started to escalate even more in so many different ways. I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, I could write books and books on it, of my experiences. And some of my experiences, people would say, how can this be? You know, is she making this up? But I've had unbelievable moments in time that I myself find sometimes hard to believe. So as I just kept progressing in life, I ended up, as most women do, I ended up marrying my husband. And so my whole life changed again pretty drastically in that way, through marriage. And we brought forth two wonderful children. I have a daughter, Marla. She's 41 years old. She's a special needs teacher back in the area where I live in Westport, Connecticut. She's at Staples High in Westport. And I have a wonderful son, Ryan. He's 38. He has gifted me with two beautiful little grandchildren, two little girls. And he's soon to be captain with the fire department in Stanford. So I'm very proud of my children. They're very, I feel they're wonderful, wonderful human beings. And they're really, we're all in service. I feel my family and my two children were service people. My husband, who I married, Neil, we were married September, I have to stop and think, it's so long, September 23rd, 1973. He passed away on August 14th, 1994. So he moved on, and so did my dad. My dad and my husband passed together on the same weekend. My father passed on August 12th on a Friday night, and my husband passed that Sunday, the same weekend, on a Sunday morning. And it was, again, another very traumatic experience for myself and my mom. We became widows together, and now it was like the blind was leading the blind. We're two women, and we were just lost. You can just imagine. I mean, it was very traumatic, and here I am. My children were fairly young. And then, a year later, on August 15th, 95, my sister loses her husband, and he passes away. So now she's a widow as well. So here's my mom and her two daughters, widows. We're all widows. So you say, how can this really be? Well, it's karma. If any of you understand how karma works, do you understand what karma is all about? Well, the karma between myself and my immediate family, I'll say was very challenging, but who can't say that their karma is not challenging? But ours was extra challenging, and when our men vacated, we lost our men. My son became the oldest male figure now as this young boy. And I'm very proud of him now. He really had to grow up fast, and it really, I think, escalated him to be the wonderful male that he is now. Wonderful guy, my son. And, well, the karma, the heavy-duty karma was between my mom, my sister, and me. That was the plan. The men needed to vacate, and it was everything else needed to be figured out by us, the women. And it was, let me tell you, tough as nails, to put it mildly. My mom passed away now. It's almost 6 years. And My sister is she's 2 years older than me, so she's still with us. She's had her little challenges. She had a stroke a few years ago, but she's holding her own. She's doing pretty well. And so now it's down to my sister and me with this karma, and it's still pretty deep karma. My sister and myself are as different as you can imagine in every way, shape, and form. People do not believe that we are blood sisters. We physically do not even look alike. We are day and night in every which way. And she has challenged me every which way, especially in regard to what I'm doing today. She has come around in the last few years, I'll honestly say she has. And many of my immediate family members, never my children were always my biggest cheerleaders. Because I was their mother, that's all they really had left now, me, so they supported me. Family members, relatives, they just thought I was losing my mind. What is happening to her? Maybe because she lost her husband, she's, so emotionally burnt out or whatever. I don't know. They just didn't know what to make of me. So I really had a challenge in many ways because I felt like everybody was pushing me out of the way. But I could not deny what was happening to me, because I want to backtrack. When my husband passed away on that day, August 14th, 1994, he passed away in conjunction to the birth of the white buffalo. This is why I go by the name of White Buffalo Woman. Now, I don't know if any of you remember when this hit the news on that day in 1994. It was August 20th, 1994. Now, my husband Neil passed away on the 14th. And what White Buffalo Woman did was she gave me a few down days. The 14th to the 20th, there wasn't that much time in between. So we lay my husband to rest, my father to rest, and, now I'm trying to, get a grip on life and what's next for me. How am I going to support my children on my own? This was death. I had no financial support. It wasn't divorce that I'd have alimony. The gray really came in fast. It really did. And, very challenging. But this was my, true lesson of fortitude and strength and courage in what I had to do, because I was being divinely guided every inch of the way. Because on August 20th, a few days later, White Buffalo Woman, the birth of a white buffalo occurred in Janesville, Wisconsin. If you're not familiar with it, you could go back and Google this. It's absolutely true. And the Lakota Sioux Nation was waiting for this birth for quite some time. This was a prophecy that White Buffalo Woman gave to the Lakota Sioux people way, way back when she appeared to them. And White Buffalo Woman is the keeper of the pipe. She literally came from heaven and presented the sacred pipe, we call it the peace pipe, to the chief of the tribe of the Lakota Sioux at the time. Chief Standing Tall was his name. And she gifted them the pipe. And so what did that mean? The pipe represented God. The pipe represented the God force. And she taught them to pray through the pipe. The bowl of the pipe, where the tobacco is placed, is representing the womb, the divine feminine. The stem of the pipe, where you smoke from, it represents the masculine. So when you combine, of course, the stem with the bowl, it's representing man and woman, and love, connection. And this was her basis for teaching the Lakota Sioux people. And her main teaching was that we are all one, no discrimination in any way, shape, and form. We all carry the same red blood. Now, the thing that I want to point out here, which I found so amazing, just the other day when President Trump was sworn in, he captured my attention because he said the same thing in his acceptance speech about we are all the same, we carry the same red blood. And I said, wow, look at this. But this was the basis of White Buffalo Woman's teaching. And she brought unity to this tribe that was desolate, destitute. They were dying. And she taught them all the rites and rituals that the Native Americans practice today. It came through White Buffalo Woman. She gave it to the Lakota Sioux people, and through the Lakota Sioux, it was passed on to all the different Native American tribes over the course of time. And she is the basis of the understanding of what the red man is all about. Now, any red man, any tribe, absolutely knows who White Buffalo Woman is. She is the divine mother of the red man, but of us as well, in a different form as we know her as Mary. It's all one and the same. So my husband passes away on the 14th. As I said, they give me a few down days, and who comes to me? White Buffalo Woman. I didn't even know who White Buffalo Woman was. Had no clue. I thought I was really, what is happening here? And she started to explain to me that since I was a little girl, all these paranormal experiences that I was experiencing was basically coming from her. She was testing me to see if I had what it took to do what I'm doing today now. I was the test. If I said to her, no, not knowing who it was, leave me alone, I'm afraid, hide under my bed and say, stop this, whatever you're doing, she would have left me alone and said, well, this soul isn't ready. But she was preparing me for what I'm doing today. The work I do today is very, very in-depth, very in-depth. I travel the world. I've had a geographic education doing this work. And literally, I've seen the world. I live out of a suitcase. And I've done exorcisms. I work with MDs. I work with psychiatrists, psychologists. I work with police departments on murder cases. I help find missing children. I clear homes, businesses, and properties. Nothing ceases to amaze me because everything has an answer. We may be looking for a certain answer to why isn't our health the best? Or why is my mind, why is all this lifetime I'm in depression? Or whatever it is, or why does my child act this way? We didn't rear our son to be this way. What is happening here? There is a reason for everything. And doing this work over the course of my career, I can't say I know everything, but I can say I can get answers for just about anyone who comes to me regarding anything. Because I'm channeling the information. I am being utilized through White Buffalo Woman and her entourage. She sets everything up, whatever I bring through. She sets it up. And then the other beings that all come through are basically reporting to her, but she starts the forefront of everything. And it's really quite amazing. I mean, I can give you many, many examples. I can talk about this for hours. And I do have case histories. I wrote this book. I didn't want to write this book. Spirit would not leave me alone. For 6 years, they told me, you must write a book. And for 6 years, I said, I don't want to write a book. I always loved to write. When I went to school in high school, I loved English, and I always thought that maybe one day I would be a journalist. But I guess maybe that's why it was prepping me for writing this book. I really don't know. But the book, I will say, my book should have been that much thicker. But when I brought it to the publisher, they said, you're giving too much information away, do book 2. And of course I haven't done book 2 because I don't really have time. I'm lucky I did book 1. Someday I probably will, maybe as I'm getting older and older, maybe if I slow it down in my career. I don't know if I ever will. I think as long as I stay healthy and I'm able to move around, I don't feel I'll ever slow it down. I'm 68 years old, And I think this is what I was given to do, and this is my mission here on Earth. I'm here to serve. I go into hospitals, I go into doctors' offices, the medical. I'm very thrilled to see what has happened with the medical. The medical doctors have really, since I started doing this work and until now, I've seen a major shift with the medical doctors that accept more and more their understanding that it's not just something in the body. It starts from our spirit. Every ailment, I'll just say physical ailment, but even mental ailment, emotional ailment, whatever the ailment is, whatever the challenge you're challenged with, always starts in the spiritual body, and that's your soul. And so everything starts in the spiritual body. When the spiritual body takes on the challenge, the spiritual body says, I can fix this, we're going to correct this. And when the spiritual body cannot correct it, it trickles over into the emotional body. Now, you can't see the spiritual body and you can't see your emotional body, but they're there. So now the emotional body says, okay, it's my job now because the spiritual body couldn't correct this challenge. I'm the emotional body, I'll do it. And when the emotional body can't do it, it goes into the mental body. So now the mental body has the same little challenge, and the mental body says, okay, now spiritual body couldn't do it. The emotional body couldn't do it. I guess I'm going to have to do it. I'm the mental body, I can do it. I'm the mind, I can do it. When the mental body can't do it, that's when it goes into the physical body, the density, our bodies. The other bodies, you can't see them. They're there. You can't really touch them. Of course, through your heart you can. But our physical body, there it is. There's our proof. And when the challenge moves into the physical, that's when it's the hardest body to clear it from, because it's in the density of that body. So that's why many people, of course, pass away from the challenge that they were never able to control or work through. Now, I want to explain this in another way. Our electromagnetic field. Have you heard of this, our electromagnetic field? Now, your electromagnetic field encases your body. It's I'll say the biggest body, but it's all bodies incorporated. But it is 12 feet above you, 12 feet below you, 12 feet in front of you, 12 feet behind you, and 12 feet all around you. So what does that really mean? That is your protective coating. And when, let's say, a physical challenge is coming towards you, and you have no clue that challenge is coming towards you, and all of a sudden one day you're not feeling good, and you say, well, gee, maybe I have a little bit of the flu, and you deal with it, and time passes, and you're just not on top of your game. You're just not feeling right, and you go to the doctor, and you're telling the doctor, well, I got this little situation going on, and they say, well, run some tests. They run some tests, and then they say, we're sorry to tell you, but this is what you're dealing with now. Not the best. This isn't what you want to hear. Well, that didn't just happen within a few weeks, or because you say, oh, I had the flu, and now this is the byproduct of, let's say, cancer. That took so many years to materialize into your physical body. So how did that begin? It started in your electromagnetic field, that protective coating. So it could have been, let's say, when someone comes to me, I'll explain that also, but when I'm working with someone and my hands are on you, and my hands are right on you, I'm working, of course, with your electromagnetic field, but you don't know really what I'm doing when I'm physically working with you, because I could be working 7 feet to your left. If I'm on the left side, well, I could be maybe 7 feet, maybe 3 feet. I could be maybe 5 feet over here or 2 feet over here. You don't know what I'm doing, but my hands are on you. So what is happening is that I'm able to go into that electromagnetic field and eradicate what is coming towards you. And it may take 7 years. 7 years ago, this illness, this challenge was starting to build in your body. You say, I feel good, I eat great, I'm healthy, I buy the book, I do this, I do that, and we all want to say that. But then you get the news, well, look, something's gone wrong here, and now you have a little challenge to correct. So that didn't just happen, even though you're feeling great at the time. That was part of your karma, let's say, and it was coming towards you. But it could have taken maybe 7 years in your field that it was out there, and it had to inch its way towards you. And it took 7 years to physically connect through the physical body. And so once it's in the physical, it's harder to, eliminate. And that's how you're learning through your soul. Many of us take on the lesson of learning through the challenge of dealing with the physical body. We don't want to have that lesson. That's what we're trying to not deal with. We want to be feeling great and keep going like the ever-ready battery. But many of us, that doesn't happen. And so you're learning now through the challenge of healing your body. So many people, let's say they accept cancer. And cancer, of course, is all from fear. Fear is what creates cancer in your body. So who cannot say that they're not fearful about anything? I don't think any of us can. Our fears will, there's something that we get hooked into, or it's just we're fearful to do this, and we're afraid to do that, and the world's getting more challenging, we're afraid to travel, whatever the fear is, you're allowing that fear to consume you. And that can build and build and build and become locked into that part of you that will eventually create the challenge. Now, doing this work all the years I've been doing it, I have seen, I shouldn't say seen, well, yeah, in a way I guess I could say it that way, but I have learned what is creating what. Many, many women I see with breast cancer. Many women, that's due to, now this isn't the rule of thumb for everyone, but many, many times it's due to broken heart through love, broken marriage, divorce. I see many women, once they're divorced, within a year or two, breast cancer. There's all specific reasons why. I don't want you to, as I said, hold on to that's the rule of thumb for everything. But I see a little bit of a pattern to the diseases that we carry in our body, and every disease is coming due to an explanation of what we're carrying. Now, hereditary you could say, how does hereditary have a role in this? And it does. But this is the role of us, who really, we believe in God, and we believe, we're understanding how this universe is working more and more and more. And how it works is this. Hereditary plays a part, yes. You could say, okay, my grandmother had breast cancer. And, now I'm the next generation, and, they're saying there's a hereditary factor here. Absolutely true. But the goal of your soul is to prevent the fear. And you could say, well, how do I know? But the fear that your grandmother was carrying in her field of energy, in her body, when she was alive, or if she's still alive, and she had the challenge of trying to heal cancer, and then her daughter, the next generation, ends up with the cancer as well. So what happened here? The daughter actually is in a pattern with the mother. And that's where hereditary comes in. So the daughter, maybe unbeknownst to her, and sees how the mother has operated all her life, and she doesn't want to do this, and no, I'm firm about that, and the way I see this or that. So the daughter kind of takes on the vibe, you might say, so to speak, of her mom. And she goes with it over the course of time, and she ends up creating the challenge as well in her physical body. Then her daughter can do the same thing. It's a pattern effect. So your goal is not to end up like your grandmother and your mother and say, well, they lived in a different time frame. They came from the Great Depression. They had more challenges and to deal with and so forth. And, you know, I'm more of a free spirit, or I see it a different way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the goal for you, if you understand how all of this really works, how the universe works, is to not allow yourself to take on the worry, the woe, the fear, plain and simple. And that's kind of a hard thing to do. But this is how it works. You know, and you can maybe thankfully skip a generation or break that pattern. The goal is to break it so it won't repeat with any other woman from under your bloodline to keep going, that you broke the pattern. And this applies to just about everything that we deal with. Addictions, you know, today, I mean, addictions are more than ever. Addictions. This is all we see, one way or another. Whatever it is, whatever the addiction is, if it's drugs, alcohol, drugs, food, shopping, whatever it is. You know, and I find it very hard to say that I don't think anyone's exempt from any type of addiction. Everyone has an addiction of something. No one can say, I have no addictions. Maybe you drink too much coffee, or you have to have too much chocolate every day, or whatever it is. Everyone has an addiction. No one really is exempt from this. You know, it's just that what did you choose for your little addiction to work with? You know, and what will it lead to? And this is really the basis of how this universe works with our bodies, not just the physical body that we see, but all these other bodies incorporated. Our soul is our psyche. The soul is your psyche is your soul. And everything is recorded in your soul. Your cellular memory is your computer chip. That's your psyche. That's your soul. And that's what you take with you from lifetime to lifetime. That's the part of you that never dies. The body, of course, dies, but the soul will go on and on and on. Your spirit goes on and on and on, and that is your psyche. So everything is recorded in there, and you can't see that either. But that's how this works, and that's why your past lives are your past lives. And the past lives truly, you know, are our biggest teacher, because many people, you know, when I work with people, I have the ability to access your past. Now, we've all had unbelievable past lives. We've had hundreds and thousands. I mean, we just keep returning. And we don't have to always return to Earth. We can return to other galaxies, and, you know, wherever we're going to best learn our lessons from and within. But most people want to try to return to Earth because we're a different system. Earth is a different system. We have emotions here. We feel our emotions. People are depressed because of our emotions. Some of these outer galaxies, they don't operate from that way. There aren't emotions. And that's why most people want to come back to Earth to have the experience of dealing with their emotions. So, you know, it's quite amazing, all of this. But the past lives, people will say to me, I don't really care about the past lives. What do I care? The past is the past. I'm living in now. This is the present. This is what I know. I only care about now and what's ahead of me and what I'm going to do with my life in this way. But the past is why you're doing the life you're doing now, what you're doing with your life now. It's due to the past. It may not just be one particular past lifetime. Could be maybe you're working with 3 or 4 past lifetimes combined into this one. You fast forwarded into this one because we are speeding up. As we can clearly see, the energies are speeding up and we're working through things faster and faster. This is why, as we know, nothing lasts forever, but even, you know, I mean, I'm seeing, we could all say this probably, but I'm really seeing it, that more and more people, in my opinion, are dying younger and younger. You know, we're not really having the longevity as maybe our grandparents. I mean, gosh, my grandparents, one of them was 96 when they passed. I mean, this is really a great long life if you're healthy, you know, but we're inundated with all these chemicals and everything. I mean, I'm dealing with people constantly. I just dealt with a man last week, 62, cancer through his nose, and it's going to his brain. I mean, he's on very limited time. I mean, I see it constantly. You know, our lifespans, you know, they say we're going longer because of the drugs. But I don't know. I feel it's going faster and faster, and we're going out faster. We're kind of taking our exit. Most of us were kind of like saying, done. We did it. We just want to go. But the past lives are very interesting. I feel that by knowing your past, you're able to heal your present now. By being aware of your past, you're able to deal with your life presently in a higher exalted way now. I deal with many psychiatrists, and they'll call me up and they'll say, I'm sending you Mr. Smith. And I'll say, okay, but don't tell me why Mr. Smith is seeing you. I like a good challenge. Let me work with Mr. Smith, and after I work through his session, I'll give you a call and I'll share with you what happened during the session. And it's always like unbelievable, especially for the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is like, he's like floored many times. He says to me, Eve, this is amazing to me, because I'm kind of like the, what should I say? I'm cracking the nut. This person, say, was going weekly, talking out their challenges with the doctor, and the doctor now throws the person towards me because he says to me, I don't feel I'm making headway. We're repeating a lot of the same things here, and we're not really, I don't see him improving. And when I access the past lives, or where I need to go with this particular soul, I understand exactly why his life is playing out now due to what was going on previously. But the thing that I'm so happy to see is that the person themselves who's coming to me, that patient, is understanding it themselves. They're saying, oh my God, it's like you're telling me, and I'm meeting them for the first time, and I'm in this past life reading I'm bringing through. It's like I'm telling them what's happening now. They see, they're able to get their own aha. Oh my God, it's like repeating. I see what's happening to me now, and it was a throwback from another time, maybe 50 lives ago. And this was the lifetime that it needed to come into play, because karmically, the players of that person who they need to play the roles out with are reincarnated at this time. You have to wait. It's not like when you pass from this lifetime, the next lifetime, you're going to solve this lifetime into the... It doesn't work that way. You could go 50 lifetimes in between, because you have to have the same people, the same souls with you that you had the karma with, who you created the karma with. So you have to wait for them to all reincarnate with you at the same time. You'll see them when you go to the other side. You'll meet them, but you're not going to reincarnate the next lifetime, and you're not going to be with them again, because maybe that's not going to be beneficial for them nor you. So you have to wait. So that's why it takes so long to work through all of this. It's endless. That the goal is we keep chipping away at it, so that we are able to finally reach the nirvana that the soul is trying to reach, so that the goal of the soul is not to have to reincarnate, to not reincarnate once it's done. Now I'll tell you a little secret. I didn't have to reincarnate this lifetime. I was done. And I volunteered to come at this time on earth to do the work I'm doing. Have you heard of the term walk-in? I'm a walk-in. I walked in 1972, April 14th, 1972. Me, Eve, who I am now, walked into this body. The body, the soul who walked out of this body, I knew her very well from a past lifetime. And we had an agreement, we made a contract, that she would come in and do mainly the early childhood years, and she would leave. That's all she wanted to cover. And I wanted to come in to help my fellow man at this time on earth. But I didn't want to have to go through the womb. I didn't want to have to go through school, grade school. I didn't want to have... So this was perfect. So she walked out and I walked in. And that happened on April 14th, 1972. I remember it so well. I didn't understand it, of course, at the time. I lost a day of time. I went to sleep like every other night of my life. I went to bed, and I did not wake up until 24 hours later. I was in a deep, deep sleep. I was like I was in a coma. In 24 hours, I woke up, and I was, of course, in the same body, who I am, but now I'm somebody else. And I didn't understand. It takes 9 earthly years for a walk-in to integrate that shift. It takes 9 earthly years. And my sister, who's my sister today, who always has given me so much hard time since I've done this work, resents, not that I'm trying to put her down, but she resents. She says, I am not her sister. To this day, she says it to me every opportunity she has. You're really not my sister. You know, because I'm not the same personality. I'm not. I don't have the same, I'm not the same. Because I'm a totally new entity. And so it was pretty easy. It was an easy transformation. But the walk-ins that are occurring, it's picking up speed now, and it's not as easy as what I had it, because many people that are accepting to be a walk-in are, many times I'm seeing that it's connected to addictions or suicidal. People that are suicidal, they just do not want to be here anymore. They're tired. They can't do it in the body. They're depressed in some way. They're just worn out. They're frazzled. They're frayed. Their electromagnetic field is just so thin. They can't do it. So they've given up. Their soul gave up. They can't do it anymore. So unbeknownst to them, their subconscious is communicating with them, and I can't do it. So they kind of, step aside, and another soul who wants to hurry up and come back on earth rather quickly will take the body. And this is what is happening faster and faster here now. So this is why sometimes if you know someone who's had a major, major addiction like heroin or whatever the addiction is, and you say, why can't they get a grip? They're in and out of rehab, This is so pitiful. You just don't know what to do anymore, especially if you're the parent or the relative very close within the family. And then all of a sudden, this person seems to start kicking the habit somehow, and they are repairing. Most likely they're a walk-in, because they finally now got it. And so they went through that transformational time that they had to go those so many years to cellularly accept the vibrational shift. And that's how you see the change. And people in AA, and they're proud, I've 25 years, haven't had a drink. Could very well be that they're a walk-in, because they were able to master this because they're no longer the same person. And I'll say 99.9%, when you become a walk-in, you end up divorcing. If you're married, you're not the same person. Your spouse will be the first one to say, you're not the same. Just like my sister says, I don't know you. She's kind of resentful to me. I'm not trying to put my sister down, but she doesn't really get me. And this is what happens in the marriages, and then it creates a divorce because you're with someone else, but you don't really even know that. And this is what creates the separation. And that's what's supposed to be, because now you're in a whole new vibe. You're going to start something new, and you're on a whole new adventure to reach the goal of your soul. So it's very, very fascinating how all of this works. I will take questions and answers eventually, but hold off first. I know you have a question for me. I would like to touch upon quickly the understanding of the children today, that we're seeing so many more and more and more. Now, my daughter's a special needs teacher. This is her field, and these children are coming in with ADD, and all these children are on all these drugs, to calm them down, and the teachers can't control them, and these kids are all over the place, and so do you know what is the real explanation of what's happening with this? Does anybody have a clue?
Indigos for children. Autism?
Well, the basis of what's really occurring is that, as I've said before, we're speeding up time. We're going faster and faster. It used to be that when we passed away, it would take approximately 100 earthly years to reincarnate. Was pretty much the norm. The soul would rest, stay on the other side for equivalent of 100 years as we know it. Not anymore. It's speeding up. It's coming in quicker and quicker. So what's happening is the souls are all trying to get back here as quickly as possible, and they're piggybacking. I call it the piggyback effect. And so the main soul that's being birthed has an agreement, like I had the agreement with the soul that I took her body and she left and I'm in her body. The souls now are agreeing to take on multiple souls. And so what does that do? For the main soul, it's giving that soul, I'll refer to it as grace points. It's giving that soul more leeway and more, like perhaps the soul that agrees that I'll take on 3 more souls in my body, you could come along with me. That soul may cut out 3 past lifetimes of karma that they'd have to still work through. So they're going to shorten their karma by taking on other souls to share their body. And this is why these children the attention span is all over the place, because it's not, if you can look at it this way, it's like there's 3 people in there with them. And this is why they're all over the place. And I'm finding this, of course, I find this constantly. And of course, the school systems, try to tell the officials that this, they think you're crazy, but this is truly what's happening. And I have worked with many of these children, and I can tell, and I've said to parents, this child has about 2 more years to go, and the contract will be up with those other souls. You have to come back to me in 2 years, and I can make the disconnection. Or, this child has 15 more years. This is going to be a tough one, but they have to keep going with this. But I can see how it's gauged, and then I can disconnect the main soul from the other ones, and they've created the balance of what they tried to achieve. So there's so many variables to all of this. That's why I'm saying there are so many explanations to why we are who we are. And most people don't even have a clue or would even want to understand it or think what I'm saying is absolutely crazy. But I'm trying to get people to really understand how this is working, what we're involved with here, and how it's speeding up, really speeding up in every way. So, there's just so much I could talk about here. Let's see. Well, would like to ask me any questions in regard to whatever I've touched upon already? I'll take you first because I know you kept raising your hand.
How do you help the human being in front of you when you figure out their physical illness has to do with things from the past to learn the soul lessons of what that is for them, and maybe past generations of their family. So that has to be healed before the body does, and you know that as well as I do.
Yes, but what I'm doing is I'm bringing through the healing.
Okay.
I'm
so that they understand.
I'm giving them the information karmically, but when I'm working with my hands, I'm reprogramming. You see, I'm shifting everything. So I'm realigning the body now to work with what they heard. And once it gets in there, whether they don't like what they heard or they loved what they heard, too late, you heard it. And that's what it's supposed to do. And it will start the process. And it really does create shifts. And many of the solutions are fairly simple. It's not like they're going to say, go back to school and take 10 courses and this will create that. It's nothing like that. There's many simple ways that you can deal with a lot of these challenges. Sometimes so simple that you can't even believe it. But sometimes I tell people, oh God, I've told women to grow their hair. I've told women to cut their hair. Now, I've seen women with long, long hair, really long hair. And I tell them, your hair, I'm sorry, you need to cut that hair. And they say, what do you mean? I love my hair. But you're carrying such old energy in your hair. Your hair is your antenna. And just by cutting your hair, you won't believe what it can do for you. It's just like when you have a total makeover, you know, and you want a whole new look and you're going to do whatever, you're going to start wearing different clothes and a whole new hairstyle. You're creating a makeover. Well, by cutting your hair, I'm not saying you can't regrow it, but I'm saying to you now your hair needs to be cut. That energy, it's the only way you're going to get rid of this. Your hair has to go. And they think I'm crazy. But a lot of these women say to me, oh my God, Eve, when I cut my hair, I couldn't believe it. My whole life shifted. I couldn't believe what was happening to me. I said, because you allowed new energy to start coming towards you. Simple things. Yes.
I have a couple questions. When you work with people, do you invoke White Buffalo Woman?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone. I go into a trance state. I'll explain that too. But I enter a trance state, and White Buffalo Woman, as I said, she's my main and primary guide. She totally protects me. I mean, I've been in some pretty deep situations. I've done exorcisms, deep, deep things. And she always protects me, always. So I'm not fearful on any level. People have witnessed my physical body being picked up, and I've been thrown through plates of glass, clearing homes, really negative situations you wouldn't believe. I can make movie scripts out of some of the case histories I've worked on. And people who witnessed this couldn't believe it. They literally saw me be lifted up, like, who's lifting me up? They are. And the negative force is lifting me up. Throw me through a plate of glass, and I don't have a scratch on me. I mean, amazing things. And, you know, I'm protected. I mean, you know, I don't have any fear whatsoever. And I guess, as I said, as a little girl, she was testing me because I was always having these unbelievable paranormal experiences, but she was trying to see if I was afraid. If I was afraid, she would have said, she's not the candidate. She's not the one. But obviously I passed her test, and this is what I'm doing. But, you know, there's many of my peers across the country come across different cases, and they say, I won't touch it. Call Eve Kerwin. She's in Stamford, Connecticut. You know, either fly her here or you have to fly to her. But a lot of them, they won't even touch some of these cases. And you know, I do it. I won't say no. If I can help someone, that's what I'm here to do. I always, yes.
Can you comment, maybe the White Buffalo Woman comment on what's happened in this country as far as political sense?
I don't want to step on anybody's toes here. But what happened, and I'm only the messenger here, people. Our new president is supposed to be our new president. Definitely, he was chosen for this position on earth now. I see it very clearly. I don't want to go into it political. I don't want to offend anyone. But he is what's supposed to be. And I'm happy about it because I feel with him there will be change in a different way. I mean, I don't want to debate anyone, but it definitely where we are is supposed to be. And that's all I'm going to say. But there's no doubt in my mind about this. Yes? Yes.
I have a lot of questions, but I'm just going to ask one, and that is, I wanted to know, you're talking about souls coming back, souls doing this, that, the other thing. Souls going and souls going. How does a soul get born in the first place? What's the embryo of a soul? Where are new souls getting
where do they come from?
spewed into the universe somehow?
There's new souls, but it's mostly recycling. There are.
Where do they come from first?
You have to come, you're coming from the original spark. I mean, it's truly a gift to be in the human body. It's truly, truly a gift. You are coming from a spark. But, there are new souls, but it's very few new souls. It's really, and the souls reincarnate in cycles. Like right now on Earth, most of the souls are, of course, Atlantean. There's a lot of Atlanteans here and a lot of Egyptian, from different history periods. And this is why the world seems to go in certain ways in conjunction to what is destined for what's ahead with the world. So this is why the souls reincarnate in large numbers in conjunction to what the earth is trying to achieve now. But right now there's many, many Atlanteans here, a lot of Atlanteans, a lot of Egyptian souls, a lot of Roman souls are here on earth at this time.
My soul might be 5 million years old. So 5 million years ago, how did my soul... Oh, you said the spark.
It's a spark.
Did you say stars?
Spark.
Spark.
From an atom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say spark, it's essentially a spin-off from the creator.
I'm sorry?
When you say the word spark, you mean it's a spin-off from the creator, correct?
Absolutely.
A few questions. Why are we speeding up?
Why are we speeding up?
Why are we speeding up at this time?
We're in for some unbelievable situations, I believe, that's going to occur. I mean, I think many of us can see this. But it's like we're given so much periods of time to accomplish things. And so we're being pushed. We're being pushed for completion. And so we still have windows of time here to work with certain issues. It's my opinion, this is Eve's opinion, I feel we're really lagging behind.
Are there precedents to this chunk of time where before in the Earth's history, development of mankind, periods of time did seem to speed up as you indicated it's doing now?
Yes.
So this is not a precedent.
Yes.
But it's rare?
Yes.
Okay, two others actually. You indicated you were walking at some point in time.
A walk-in, yes.
I'm sorry.
I walked in on August 14th, 1972. I was born, the body was born in 1948.
Okay. Do you recall, do you have any difficulty recalling things between 1948 and 1970?
No, because I have her computer chip. I'm in her body. I have her cellular memory. So I'm remember.
The cognitive processes remain the same.
Yes.
But
The soul is different.
it's different.
Totally different.
So what's the interface between the cognitive processes and the soul?
That's kind of like a fine line, but The memories I have, I mean, as far as I can remember from, when the body was birthed in 48, they're there, but now I feel from when I took the body, I mean, the escalation was no comparison. I mean.
But they're essentially not your memories. It's almost as if you're remembering them.
Oh,
as if you're
yeah, it was, yeah, I remember it was a lot of pain and sorrow. A lot of pain and sorrow. The childhood was very difficult. I mean, it wasn't that, I'll say I grew up. I mean, I'm talking for her. It wasn't that we were starving or nothing like that, but it was a lot of challenges within the family dynamic. A lot of challenges, yeah.
And lastly, you seem to indicate that these patterns that come up in our lives are things we necessarily have to chronically work through. If indeed that's the case, the psychiatrist or clinical therapist reaches an impasse, can it go no further, and then calls you in. What's the use if those things have to run their course? What could you do to ameliorate that?
Because I'm speeding it up. I'm speeding up the process for that person.
So you can mitigate or speed it up or alleviate altogether?
Absolutely. Many of those people who have come to me for my services through the psychiatrist, I'm saying, I mean, I'm medical doctors too, but like especially with psychiatrists, they say to me, I'm not even going to go back to the psychiatrist. And I say, well, gee, I'm not telling you to do that. They said, don't need it. This one session gave me the total understanding, and I feel like wasn't that the psychiatrist wouldn't have maybe eventually hit the issue, but it's taking a lot longer to figure it out.
And with that one session, that entire karmic debt or imprint or load, so to speak, can be eradicated?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm working on a cellular level.
Now, are there times when you would take a case like that, cannot eradicate in one session because it has to still play out for a little while, unless you speed the process?
I set the cellular circuitry now up. What I'm doing is I'm clearing the imprint. The imprint is cleared. So this will not be repeated. If that soul comes into another life, reincarnates, the issue that they're working through will not occur because I shifted it.
When you talk about the imprint, you mean the electromagnetic imprint?
The cellular memory of what is still lurking, of what they're working through, pain, sorrow from another lifetime, and now their life is playing out this way due to that past lifetime. This is the end. At the end of this lifetime, when they leave their body and they reincarnate, they will not have the same issue to face.
Wait, so one last thing, a little unclear. You say cellular memory, even physical cells, but that's not what you're talking about.
The memory, your memory.
Your brain cells, your memory.
Yeah.
But
I'm creating the healing so that will not repeat in their thought forms again. Does that make sense to you?
kind of sort of, because if it's something that's coming from a non-physical place, you're clearing the physical place, so the non-physical place is rectified. Correct?
Yes. But at the end of this lifetime, when you're not in the physical, that's already rectified. Your mind in the body may still keep you to, if you have a temptation and the doctor says you should not have sweets, and you say, yes, I know, if I keep eating this, I know I'll probably die faster, and you just say, okay, I have to stay away from it, and then you go back to eating the sweets, well, everything's going to come back into, your body's going to start deteriorating, as he said. But you can stop it if you listen to what he's saying.
So the soul comes in, imprints these things in the physical cells, and they remain in the physical cells until such time as the soul goes out. You alter that. You alter the positive of the physical cells so they're no longer there. So therefore the soul has nothing to take with it. Correct?
Yes.
Proper analogy?
Yes.
Past lives has a lot of distortions. It's ways it's used in our culture. And those Amy and I, she's been channeling for 40 years. Jane Roberts wrote a wonderful book, actually 2 books, called Over Soul 7 and the Museum of Time. We're of the belief and experience that past lives go on simultaneously.
Yes.
And when entities are asked certain questions, they'll often, given the integrity of the oversoul, they'll ask, can I access this probable self or past life. And there's a give and take going on. I just wanted to say that book, Over Soul 7 by Jay Roberts, really demonstrates simultaneous lives that are going on constantly.
Yeah, it's true. Different worlds. Yeah.
A lot of people stuck with
A lot of people just will maybe never get it.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the lifetime for them to understand it. Do we need to stop?
Take a couple more questions. We
Sure.
don't want to work you too hard.
Oh, it's okay.
Take a couple more questions, and then she'll be up here where you can talk with her, look at her book, sign up for sessions, and so forth after we finish. But let's do a couple of more.
Okay.
Just curious what your thoughts are on Alzheimer's disease.
Yes. Alzheimer's disease is very serving to the soul. What's occurring with an Alzheimer patient is that they're trying to learn surrender through accepting Alzheimer's. Surrender. They were so locked in this lifetime that they know presently, with a certain way, the way their mind worked for them, that their mind really couldn't take them to where they really needed to go. So by accepting Alzheimer's, you're just, I have a dear friend who has it, so she's very much close to her end right now of her life. But she's giving up now. But she had unbelievable fear this whole lifetime. I've known her a long time. Fear about this, fear about that. Everything was fear, fear, fear. And so she became locked. So now she just walked away from it. She just walked away. She's half the time she's very, very little in her body. And so she's learning, they're working with her from a higher place, rebooting her to surrender and understand things differently. But the people here that are caring for her, her family members, etc., are truly learning from her situation. It's not just for her, it's for the caretakers. The caretakers truly, truly benefit from a situation like this. So it's kind of like a win-win for everybody, so to speak. But that's how it really works, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have a question about, please explain to me a little bit difference between enlightenment and your walking. So when one person has an enlightening experience or a divine experience, how is it different?
That's more of an epiphany. It's more of a within your soul. It's more of a connection. The walking experience is totally different. It's a total trade-off. It's a whole nother being. It's
You became a different person. You walked into a physical.
The soul literally walked into a body that I wasn't born into.
And that corresponds to my second part when you say there are very few new souls.
Yes.
So let me ask you, please, to clarify. Universally, with humans, if there are very few new souls, how do you walk in to that new enlightened place?
I don't know if I'm understanding what she's trying to say, because it's, she's not grasping it. How can I word this differently?
Let me phrase it a little bit differently then.
Could you speak up?
Sure. If there are few souls, you're saying like,
There's very few souls now that are coming in that were never here before. Very few. Used to be that, it was the first time they were ever born into a body. But this is not really much the case anymore. It's usually the soul has been here over and over and over.
soulmates, like that kind of interaction or connection, we're all basically then connected from one divine, spiritually accidental creation kind of thing?
Well, we're all connected in the same way, but you're saying a very brand new soul. Is that what you're trying to say? Like if a baby was born and you're saying this was the very first time this baby ever, this was the first time? Is that your question? I'm saying it's kind of almost eradicated. We're just constantly being recycled. There's so many of us. There's just so many. We're so crowded as it is on the planet. You know, it's not that's why I'm saying life is such a gift. When I deal with someone who's suicidal, there's people I've spent 5 hours with in a session. If that's what it takes for me to get them to realize the gift of life, it's too precious. You were given a gift not for you to abuse and end it because you're in pain in so many other ways. That's the worst thing you could be doing for yourself, even though the pain could be heavy or whatever you're dealing with. But you're going to just keep returning. I don't know if I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm. Okay. Yes.
So if you had volunteered to come back, would you be in another realm right now?
Yes, I would be. I would not be here on Earth.
It would be fabulous. Yeah.
Nirvana. What did I do?
Okay, one more
Can't
question.
you have that here and now?
I'm trying to. I mean, I think that's what we're all. But let's be realistic. Life is life. We're challenged. Once you're in the body, I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama, the Pope, or whoever.
But to try to be,
Sure, we all try. Yeah.
somewhere or another.
Let's do one more question.
Yes.
Yes, can you speak briefly about ascension, what ascension is?
Ascension is leading up to the next dimension of another level. It's all layers. Where we are now, there's worlds below us, there's worlds above us, there's worlds in between us. There's all different. The ascension is to go to nirvana, to go to a whole nother level, so that your soul will escalate. I mean, it will be. This is what the goal of the soul is. Of course, we want to get to this more high power place. This will be rinky-dink compared to what we can have, but it's this is where all the ascended masters are, and this is bliss. This is it.
So when they talk about the physical aspects of ascension, why do we need to change physically in order to ascend?
Because it's just like the ET realms. They don't look like us. The atmosphere is different. You see, it's a different atmosphere. Our bodies wouldn't sustain. We have to go along with what's going to sustain. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.